a private room and a direct message, really. In Slack, you can actually invite multiple people to direct messages as well. So there's not a whole lot of difference. You don't give them a name. Like, you don't give that room a name. You don't give it a description. Otherwise, it's kind of just like a private room. It's like a special private room that gets sorted differently in the sidebar. So as far as I'm concerned, that's the only difference. Maybe there's some other technical difference, but that seems to be the main thing. So I'm just going to treat them as the same thing, but maybe we have another field on there, like a field DM equals false for all these, DM equals true for all those, that kind of thing. And otherwise, they're very, very similar. So let's just go with that assumption. Let's just operate under that assumption and see if we can make DMs. So we could just change room form to handle them differently. I'm just going to make another separate component. For the portions that are the same, it'd be nice to have a shared component that we can use both places, but I am totally just going to copy and paste right now. Maybe this isn't the greatest thing in the long run, but I'm going to make a new one called direct message form.js. And I'm going to start with a copy of room form. And I'll change the name of room form to direct message form. It should be in there twice. It's in there 5 times. Oh, I guess there's a class too. I don't want to change it every time. I want to change it here. Direct message form. I'll leave the CSS class the same, actually. And I want to change it when I export it. Direct message form. Yep. Just name of the class, and then when I export it. So that we can even make it possible for this thing to show up on the screen, let's go back to... See, that's in room list, I guess. Temporarily. This is temporary. Let's just import direct message form from direct message form. And we'll just have this route go there instead. Temporary. Just so we can look at this thing while we're editing it. So here's our direct, this should be direct message form now. So I'm going to close room form so I make sure I don't mess it up. And let's mess with direct message form. So where I say, create a room. Here we go. We have an H2 at the top. I'm just going to say direct message. Let's make sure I'm editing the right component here. Yep, direct message. We don't need the public checkbox. It's always going to be false. Direct messages are not public. So I'm going to change public to false up here. I'm going to change DM to true. I'll just hard code description, direct message. We'll leave name blank, members blank. So direct message is always true. Public is always false. I'll get rid of the checkbox for public. I'll get rid of the name and description text inputs. And then we check if it's public before we show this div. I guess we don't need to check that. It's never going to be public. So I'll just get rid of that if, or that conditional rendering bit. And we'll always show the input here. Let's see what this gets us. Okay, not enough space at the top here. form, we have CSS styles form. Let's add some padding to the top there. Okay. We have 2 rim on all sides. Let's just do padding 2 rim all around. It's everywhere but the top right now. We could use them at the top. There we go. Direct message, users to add. If you wanted to label this differently, users to add is kind of a terrible label. Let's say, where is that thing anyway? Where's that label? Direct message form, here we are. Here's the label. It says users to add. Say start a conversation. And the button still says create room. Say create direct message. Nech. Should we make that bigger or should we change the text of the button? Go. There we go. Direct message. Start a conversation. Invite other people. Reese Witherspoon. Go. Cool. Okay. Form-wise, I think that's pretty good. When we add them in main, right? So that's still just going to call add room. So if the room's not public, we make sure I'm in there. That's good. Do we want to treat it any differently if it's a DM? If room.dm. We haven't been setting a name, right? So we should set a name automatically. Room.name. What should it be? It's probably like a combination of their UIDs, really. But that's not what we want to show up in the sidebar. But if we just make it like, if we want to make it what a friendly name, that's not going to be unique. So especially if we have 3 Dave Struces in the same room. So maybe we need a display name field on these things now too. Yeah, sure. So the name of the thing, so if we say room.members, that's an array of all of the select options of all the users, right? So not the actual user objects, but that select option object that has label and value. So let's map over that. And let's grab just the UIDs, which is member.value. So that gives us an array. Do you all know about array split and array join? So let's get an array here. Here's an array. If I say dinos.join, comma space, I get back a string that puts a comma space in between each one. If I say dinos join 2 colons, I get that array back as a string with 2 colons in between each one. You're not looking, but you said you weren't familiar with this. This is for your benefit. So I have an array. I call join. It makes a string out of the array, putting whatever I put inside join as in between them. The opposite of that is split. So if I have this saved as dino string, then I say dino string dot split. Then every place that : appears, it'll split it into an array. So right now I've got an array of all of the UIDs. So I will just join that with like a dash. And that'll be the official name of that room. That'll be the unique identifier of that room. All of the participants' unique identifiers. But I don't want that to show up in the sidebar. That's horrible. So let's make some sort of list of their display names. Let's just get them. Const member names. And let's get room.members.map. This time, let's grab each one's display name. Sorry, it's called label now, right? It's called label inside that option thing. And let's split the label at the first space. So let's get just there. So we're making an array out of their name. So if they have a first and last name, we get just the first name. By doing that, we'll split and then say square bracket 0. So we'll get just the first names. So this will get us an array of just their first names. Then I'll make a new field on the room called display name that will contain all of the first names of its members separated by a comma space. Yeah. So if we do that, we save this new direct message. Let's invite Reese. Let's go. All right, here's the name, right? It's this horrible thing. But what we could do is in the list say display name or room name, whichever's there. We could start saving display names on all of them. That's probably what we should do. Again, this isn't in production yet. So like what we could do in chat header, here's chat header, here's where we spit out the room name. We could say room.displayname or room.name. And then just do that everywhere. So room.displayname if it's there, or room.name if not. We could just do this in all the places. Or since it's not in production yet, we could just add display names to all of them. So that each one will have both a name and a display name. So this is how we could do that if we want to support kind of legacy rooms. Or we could just go with display name and when we add a room, we'll just say room.displayname equals room.name, and then we'll change it back to we'll change it to what it should be for a DM. But for everything else, we'll just make it the same as name. And that'll break these other rooms right now, but we only have a handful of other rooms, so we can deal with that. That's not that big a deal. We're not in production yet, so I'll just add display name, Fortnite, general display name, Fortnite, because we're gonna have to. Otherwise, we're gonna have to add that or in an awful lot of places. Me and display name. Me and Gmail. Private display name. Private. Random display name. Random. Or if you don't have any data you care about, just go in and delete all the old rooms. It's not real yet. Yeah? I did, what did I do? What dumb thing did I do? Rooms, general, Fortnite. Yeah, thanks. Okay, now they've all gotten there. So now we have a friendly display name here. So we'll just use display name instead of name in several places. So chat header, we'll do it in Message list. We have this room announcement here, so we'll use display name instead of name. And inside room list, well, that's room link, right? So room link is actually the individual link. So we'll say display name here. It is not conventional to have spaces there. And we still use the name in the URL. That's still the unique identifier for this thing. Oop, there's 2 places to change it in that announcement. So message list, it's there, and it's here. We could even do something like this. Room.dm. If it's a direct message, we'll say paragraph. This is the very beginning of the direct message. Else we'll say this is the very beginning of that room. It's the very beginning of the direct message. Switch to one of the others, and it says this is the very beginning of the Fortnite room. Okay, so we're on our way to having direct messages. We can create them now. They're just not listed separately in the sidebar. Cool. Add direct message. I'll make this work in progress because we temporarily actually replaced the new room form with the new direct message form. So work in progress, add direct messages. And then we'll finish the job in a separate commit.